Hi everyone, welcome back. Thank you for joining me today. I'm doing another fluid art creation and only paint and water. So you don't need any pouring mediums, you don't need any additives. It's literally just paint, acrylic paint mixed with water, and my ratios are 1:1. So 1 part paint, 1 part water. And I'm using a colour that I've not used before. Let me just grab that colour. It's like a hot pink, it's like a Barbie pink kind of colour. So can you guess the colour palette that's going to match this? I'm really excited. I'm going to take you down to see the canvas. I'll take you down to see all the colours that I'm using. I will list all the colours, including this one, which is an Opera Rose. So that's the colour for this. I'll list all the colours in the description box, including the brands. I'm only using 2 different brands of paint as well. So, are you ready to see what kind of creation we can make? I know I am. I'm really excited as always. So, let's see what we can create. So let me show you the paints and the colour palette. So this is the colour palette that I'm going to be using. You can see here I'm only using 2 different brands, Winsor & Newton and Daler Rowney. So I'm going to use the Daler Rowney Phthalo Green, and then all the rest is the Winsor & Newton Galleria acrylic range. So Cerulean Blue, Permanent Green Light, Opera Rose, Permanent Magenta and Winsor Violet. They are my colours. So that's my colour palette. No black, no white. It's just full of colour. So I'm ready. Let me show you the consistencies of each one. So I'm using a 24" by 18" standard canvas. So here are my colours. They're all mixed up. Just paint and water. I'm going to try and get you in just so you can see those consistencies. I've used one in a previous creation, so you might have seen this one already. But there you go. It just trickles off the spatula and back into the pot. No trace at all. And that's the same with all of these paints and all of these colours. So it just trickles off the spatula and just disappears. Do it with the pink. Just so you can see. Just trickles off and just disappears. Let's look at the magenta. Oh, I absolutely love the magenta colour. So they're just all mixed with water. 1 part paint, 1 part water. That's what I feel really works with these brands. But if you're unsure, always check out the description box of my videos. I list everything in there. So, let's go. So this colour, I'm almost using as what I would call my negative space. So I'm very mindful that I'm going to be layering some colours over the top of this. But I don't fully need to cover the canvas in this colour alone. I'm going to ensure that this colour covers the area where the negative space will be, because I want that balance of the colours versus the colour that I have on my background. So I'm just using my blow dryer on a cool speed, lowest setting, and I'm going to just move the paint across the canvas and fully cover the areas where I know will be mainly the negative space. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to layer the colours I've got in my palette, those 6 colours, one by one over the top. Okay, so I'm happy with that coverage, and I'm going to place the paint along here and up there, almost kind of like in an L shape. So I'm going to do 1 colour at a time. I'm going to go for the lighter green first, and I'm just going to start pouring from here, dragging the paint along, round and up. So that's going to kind of be my guide. That's where I'm going to put all the colours, layer those colours on top. So again, I'm just going to take 1 colour at a time and place those paints on the canvas. And that canvas that you can see, that white part of the canvas, don't worry about that, because although I haven't put any base coat down, the volume of paint that I'm adding now, so those additional colours on top, will be enough paint to blow out across the bottom and the side of the canvas to allow full coverage. So you won't see any white of the canvas right at the end. So again, just 1 colour at a time, placing those colours in an L shape, and then I'll be blowing them out. I'm now just going to use my torch to pop any air bubbles. When you mix your paints up, whether it's with just water like this or with pouring medium, you're going to get some air within that mixture. So this torch is just to pop any of those air bubbles before we continue with the process. So I'm now going to use my blow dryer. My blow dryer is on a cool setting and the lowest blow speed. And I'm now just going to work that paint across the canvas and down the edges, placing the hairdryer on top of those paints and just gently blowing them in the direction that I want the paint to move. I'm using the base colour, so the negative space, to help with that flow. And again, I'm just going to take my time and blow those colours to the outer edge. At this point, if you feel you don't have enough paint, so I know that I haven't got enough paint to reach that corner there on the left hand side, don't worry, because we can add a little bit more paint afterwards and blow that out to the corner. It's so much more easier to add more paint if you don't have enough, rather than having too much paint and almost blowing more onto the table and wasting that paint. So just be mindful of the volume of paint that you're using, and always know that you can always add more to blow it out on top of the canvas, especially with a creation like this using this technique, rather than having too much paint on the surface area of your canvas itself. So I'm now just going to add a little bit more paint, all those colours I had before, and I'm just placing those in the corner. And I'm just going to ensure that I have a good balance of those colours so it flows all the way around that edge and down the side. And then I can blow the paint that I'm now puddling deeper into that corner to provide even coverage across the canvas. So remember, it's always better to just add a little bit more paint if you need it, rather than just using and wasting paint that just falls onto the table. If you're enjoying this creation and you're enjoying the video, please give it a thumbs up, give it a like, and share it out if you can. And let me know in the comments below what you think about this colour palette. Now, the green that I'm using as my background colour, so the negative space, I know from experience that's going to dry a lot darker. Also consider how your paints will dry. Consider how they look when they're wet and how they look when they're dry. And that will really help you formulate your colour palette. So I'm just tweaking the composition. I'm going to set this to one side to let it dry, and I will of course take you in for a closer look at the wet version before I do that. And just remember, you can always tweak some of the colours, you can add in a little bit more. So for example, I really want some more of that opera rose just in these two areas, so I just add a little bit more in terms of puddling on the canvas, and then just blow out the paint with my blow dryer. That adds in a tint of that pink and really helps with the balance of the full colour palette. Okay, so I'm happy with this now. I'm happy with the composition. Let me take you in for a closer look at the wet version. I'll show you some of those details, show you how those paints have infused together and how they're working together. And then I'll set this to one side to dry, and then I'll take you in for a closer look at the dry version. And guys, it's actually quite a dramatic transformation. I know that green that's in the negative space area will dry a lot darker. But what it also does is allows those colours that I've layered along the edges to really pop out and stand out because that base is going to be so dark. Okay, so are you ready for the dry version? Here we go. Here's the dry version. I said the base colour was going to turn a lot darker when it dries, but it really helps those other colours to really pop out and stand out, especially that lighter green. And you can see those hints of pink and purples too. I really love this. I really love the composition of this piece. So we've got an area that I would call the negative space, but then we've got those two sides where all this colour just sweeps all the way around the canvas and down the edge. This one was so much fun. Remember, this was just paint and water, 1 part paint to 1 part water, and I love this end result. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you're well, I hope you're having a great week, and I hope to see you again in the next video. Take care everyone, and I'll see you soon. Bye!